Alrighty, we're going to be looking at a replay submitted by Bandy. This is going to be an anti-CV tactics replay, however the CV part is going to come in at the end of the replay. Primarily this is going to be a surface ship engagement, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this. It is a highlight game.
Good luck, everyone.
So because of that, I don't want to just blur through it, because it's a good game. But we'll be getting to the CV part probably in like the last quarter of the game, so alright, move up a little bit. The Lenin is spotted. Yeah. So I did watch this at work. I have like a rough memory of what's going on here. Cool. So shots at the Lenin. So this was a bit surprising here. This play, going for this island. Because I mean, this is YOLO as heck. Normally I would expect the Martel to sit back and kind of farm from range. But I mean, taking this aggressive position and having torpedoes on your cruiser while doing it really does serve to blunt the enemy's push. Alright, so I'm going to stop this because two things. One, we see a U-69 had been spotted previously, and there's another U-69 that just got spotted. And we can see right now that this is 7.1 kilometers away from you. This thing was spotted basically back here, maybe off in the distance there. Your depth charges are 5 kilometers in range, but that's where it starts. So if you put your depth charges here at 5 kilometers, it's going to run for, I think it's about 4. I think it's 4 clicks. So it goes from 5 all the way out to 9, which means you could actually strike this sub. You could drop depth charges on this line. There are a few points where you had opportunities to be able to strike in on the subs, and I don't think any of them got taken advantage of. So I'm just kind of stopping to point that out as a thing that could happen, because you could have already thrown some depth charges while your guns were reloading. And there we still see we've got the sub out there. 20 meters, so you can't shoot this, but he's on the edge of 9 clicks, so you could throw planes, throw these depth charge planes out there and kind of tag them for a little bit of damage. I mean, if it's free, why not, right? Okay. So just because it's a little frenetic for me to be blurring through this that quick. Alright, cool. Okay, so you've got the island. Nobody's necessarily pushing you. The Akazuki is badly damaged from before when he was in smoke, getting ripped into. Lenin's pushing hard. Sub does go down. Although that was a friendly sub, sad times. Again, this dude's just on the edge of where you can affect. And I mean, you're seeing that the Lenin is coming, which is perfectly cool. 5 meters, by the way. This was spotted at 5 meters. You can hit that with HE. You could have done chip damage there as well. I mean, ultimately it's not going to end up mattering, but any damage you get on a sub matters because they really don't have a lot of health. I do like this. You waited for the line to firm. Is he committing? Is he juking? Nope. He's going. That does mean that he could have blapped you if his guns were correct there, but it also guarantees that the torps are going to hit. So, calculated risk. Because it sucks if you throw the torps and then you cannot kill him, which was not the case. So I like that you're swinging to get the other side, so you've got torps for the Atago. This was a little strange. So you're going full speed, full super YOLO, but after you clear your citadel, you could have just angled and beat the crap out of this guy. So right here, you cut your engine. Big shots, and you're flattening back out. So if you actually stayed and kind of cut your engine, maybe just as long as you keep your front guns in or something, however, I don't know the angles off the top of my head with this. Because you're in a perfect position to just wipe them out with citadels on the next volley. So you didn't have to throw the torps there because you could have just killed them. In which case, you didn't have to run or anything. So he ends up eating a torp, he is dead. He's gone. Don't know if you get the DD here. Maybe. I think you might get the DD here, because I know you follow up with the Charles. Yep, there's the DD. He gets squished. Get nipped on the nose. Charles, for some reason, decides to bail. So he did. I'm going to point this out just because this becomes relevant later. The follow-up shot, you hit the very tail of the ship there. You did get a citadel, but you only got one because you weren't leading as much as you needed to. The reason that's important is one of the balancing characteristics on the French cruiser line is that they have floaty shells. I got all the way to the tier 9 before I was like, never again, I hate this with a passion, and I stopped playing it. Other people, you know, they learn the shell float or whatever, but it's gonna matter because of your interactions with the Lexington that are gonna happen pretty soon. Alright, so all of this is cleared out. There is a sub. There's a Doria pushing a Gneisenau. They're far enough away that we don't really have good information, but the Gneisenau is at half. The Doria is very low, so this probably handles itself. New Mexico is fairly healthy. You've got an Anchorage and a New Mexico. By weight of health, you guys are ahead on this. So really the sub is the wild card, and then obviously there's a CV. Shinonome has been chasing the Lexington. I think he even took shots at him, but none of them landed. But he's going to be doing some stuff. Lexington will go for the harass. So the real question is, where do you go? Do you help with the cap? With this little health versus an Gneisenau that's not dead, I think you're fine. It's tier 6 versus tier 7. There's a health outweigh. He's got friends that can support. This is going to resolve. Could you deal with the sub? I mean, maybe, but these guys can probably deal with the sub. So it really comes down to, do you work on the New Mexico to try to help the DD cap, or do you go after the CV? Personally, I think you actually go and you intercept the CV. You go north and you force the fight on this. That being said, if you're out here and you're getting crossed by the New Mexico, that could be pretty rough. So rather than go for the hard play, I think you cut in to try to deal with this and also stay safe, which is the safer option. There's no reason to throw your ship away. Makes perfect sense. So I probably would have gone up the 10 line, but he is moving in on your Shinonome, and that is a win condition, so there's the sub. So 8.8 clicks. Could take a shot here, although he's probably dead before as soon as I unpause this. But you could throw planes if you wanted to. Nope, okay, so he's under the water, but that's gonna be planes, and I'm pretty sure he's screwed. He's dead. Okay, so at this point, the sub is down. The base defense is down. Cool, all this is resolved. And the New Mexico is chasing the Shinonome, dealing with torps and stuff. Now you definitely go for the CV. You don't have to mess with this anymore, I don't think. You have a New Mexico that can deal with it. Anchorage is still actually very healthy, even though the CV's going after him. I really think you just force this into the corner and kill it. Alright, so you're going over to help deal with the battleship. And this shows that the CV gave up on trying to deal with the DD. Which I don't know why that is, but that would be why the bombs were over there in the first place, and I don't see any smoke, so I'm a little confused as to why this happened, but nonetheless, maybe he just figured, I can't deal with this, I've been trying, so I'm just going to go for the other ships. He's coming in on you on this line. So the question is, one, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? I don't think you have to force the fight on the New Mexico. You have teammates, and frankly, I mean, you guys are so far ahead in points. I'm not concerned about your ability to carry the game. Again, I think you just go for the CV. But the question is really, where are we going to turn? Because obviously, if the bombs are just going to come in and strike us from the front, then that's the win condition for the CV. That's going to be as much damage as possible. So two things. One, we need to get the fighter in the air. This is at about 9 kilometers away, which means the fighters can have time to warm up, come back and start to cycle, so extract maximum pain while you can. And two, figure out where you're gonna go. In my belief, it'd be up north, so you could start cutting in here if you wanted to, play off of that, and then try to move and go after the CV again. You're gonna start to fake to the south. So first off, we haven't used planes, which means they don't have time to spool up. Now you've used your plane, but he's within 4.6 kilometers. Planes take 5 seconds before they finish wind up, and then they go into patrol mode and they take 2 additional seconds before they latch. So if you figure planes take about 1.5 seconds per kilometer, 5 kilometers is roughly 7 seconds. He drops you, he bails, and your planes may not do anything. You needed the planes up before he committed. You needed to use them. He's like 7, 8 kilometers away. Especially because you're closing the distance, which will make that go faster. Cool, you got your priority sector up. You've done some damage. Woot, you've already got a plane kill. And you started hard turning here, which is fine, because he's coming in on this angle. Which means he can come in and try to curl. Whatever, but he's coming in on this angle. You can already see that he's gone up and committed to the strike, which means his reticle is roughly about here, and he's probably going to try to angle in after you. But now that his reticle was here, you stopped turning to the left, and you instead went off to the right. I'm assuming because you wanted to stay in the engagement. You didn't want to turn out. That's fine, but that also means that instead of giving him the broadside run, where he's got to either try to like pull behind you and chase in to get the strike, which realistically, you give him broadside and you just cut your engine, and you force it so that he doesn't have the ability to curl in behind you. He either takes the drop or he overflies, and especially with your fighter up, he has to take the drop because otherwise he's just throwing away planes for free. You've already shot down 1 plane. You're gonna kill 3 more once the fighter comes online. He needs to go. So turning back in actually gives him a better angle. He's going to start doing this, or he's going to go up and end up cutting in and striking you from the side here, which results in about 6K. Honestly, it ain't that bad. You got hit by like 2 bombs. But the reason why I point this out is when you fake to one side but forced to the moved back, you cleaned up his attack line and you gave him more of a shot. I think you needed to have more of a plan of action before the strike came in by recognizing, oh, hey, there's bombers. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? Okay, so you see the Lexington at this point. Your fighters are going to latch, which means they're going to force him off. And they do. Awesome. So you shot down another plane. He's probably recalled a letter already. He loses 2. He did recall before he lost all his planes. Okay, we see rockets coming in. Still torn. Do you deal with the New Mexico? Do you deal with the Lexington? The New Mexico having bailed, if you were over here, like the New Mexico has no eyes for you. He's staring at a Shinonome. You just killed the CV. Going over here was kind of like the in-between option, but I think, you know, when the bombs were coming in, you could have just come up here and kited them out. You could have either, like, if he came over in this way, you start to show flat broadside, cut up on this end and go over. There's a risk of the New Mexico, but this dude is paying you no attention. If he tries to do something else, you can cut under and then force this guy into A1 and just take him out. But okay, we're looking, we see rocket planes. Rocket planes are coming in on you. They are broadside only. I want to point out, 10.5 second shell float, you can see these shells are going to land behind the CV. This was the first set of 9 shells thrown at this. Okay, those are going to be the next set. That's 18 shells that we've thrown at the CV. Alright, so specifically here, the DD is dead, which means the New Mexico is going to be looking for a new target. He's got one right there, a battleship, who's kind of showing broadside, so likely he's going to go for that. But in the case of trying to get your guns on target, you've broadsided the rocket planes. Like, you've given him the shot, and your rudder is flat. So, we've seen the threat, and you're giving him the shot. Now, why is this important? We do actually see priority target is looking at you, so the New Mexico is looking at you. So sure, keeping point of the New Mexico is good in that sense. No problems there. I don't think he's going to take the shot personally. I guess I just don't see it. But because priority target is up, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll assume the New Mexico is going crazy for you. You're preparing around that. Awesome. You do cut in. You take some chip damage. Alright, so now you're committing hard to the CV. You've got 2 pens there? 4? Let's see. Let me see if I can shrink that down a bit. Awesome. So we've got 6 out of there. I think that's the 2nd or 3rd salvo. Now here we've got a great line. Rockets are going to do a dang thing. Overturned a little bit, but chisel damage. Did very low, but this was too much. You want to pursue the CV, you want to get in close. You want to be going here. You were already on a line that made you basically immune to the rockets, and that you took like 600 damage. And you kept turning. So one, this is going to slow your chase on the CV, and two, this just lengthens the engagement window. The longer the CV has to do chip damage to you, the more likely, you know, the CV is going to win the engagement. Unless you run them out of planes, but you're not running defensive fire. I can't imagine that this is like... I don't think a Charles Martel is single-handedly supposed to wipe out all the planes on a Lexington. But this turn is overturning. So, okay. New Mexico dies pretty soon. So we're going to go south of the rock. We see bombs coming. Alright, so let's prep for bombs. Bombs are coming in from this angle. US bombs are going to have a really good curl. They're going to be exceptional at chasing. However, you have a great rudder on this ship, and the way that you use it is going to work out really well for you. First off, you want a priority sector. Good, you already hit it. She's heating up. That shot, there's no way. There's no way that shot hits the Lexington. Alright, so if you look here, his planes have come down. This is the line they're striking on. And you are almost completely perpendicular to that, and you are still hard turning. So we're going to see how terrible this drop is. Which is a whiff. Cool. And once again, you're holding him to your broadside. You're denying him a good drop. He does get a fire on you, which you put out.
The ship is on fire.
Okay.
Problem solved, sir.
I think you're trying to swing your rear gun in here, but again, we're presenting side on a least time approach to a CV you want to kill. You have the advantage here. The New Mexico is dead. There is no threat of shells, there's no threat of anything, only the threat of the CV. And the Lexington needs your broadside to be able to strike you. General numbers is that rocket planes need approximately 3 to 3.5 kilometers to be able to come in and strike you. So right now, if this is your AA and it's roughly 6 clicks, and he's roughly 6 clicks away, then if you're pointing your nose at him, he either strikes you nose on for terrible damage, because that's what he gets, or he has to off angle down here to then swing around and cut in. This is time. And the time it takes him to do that, you get another salvo into him. And I mean, if the salvos are landing, you're going to do some significant damage with a Charles Martel. Presenting the broadside to get your rear gun means that instead of having to go all the way out here to come in from the side, he's now going to come over and strike on this line. Which, on one hand, is okay, because if you're baiting it, that you're going to be able to cut in and burn the strike, cool. But it's much easier to simply point your bow at the Lexington and see which way he's going to turn so that he can try to cut in on you. And then you just turn and you force it to be a long, slow slog to try to find an angle on you, and you just don't give it to him. Here you're baiting an angle, but you didn't even need to do that because there are no guns on this field. You just point your nose directly at these planes and say, take your shot, it'll suck. Or go find a shot and I'll make you take as long as I want you to take before you'll be able to shoot. Meanwhile, you're dumping shells into the Lexington. So chip damage, but he got a fire.
The ship is on fire.
Again with the overturning, because I know we're focusing in trying to do the damage here, but because we're overturning and we can see where these rocket planes went, ideally, you bow into this, you force a terrible shot. Cool, he hits you for about 6K, or 600, 1200, something like that, and he lit a fire. The fire's probably gonna do more damage than the rockets did. And then you just watch, does he break off to the right, or does he break off to the left? And then you turn, and you force, no. All I'm gonna do is give you the length of my ship. You don't get to use rockets on me. You don't get to get a good shot. I'm not allowing you to get a good shot. The overturn here is gonna set you up for a broadside strike. And we can see right there, it's coming. So that right there was 3,700 and a second fire, and your damage con is down. So that ends it. So first off, you could have forced the engagement earlier. There was a lot more New Mexico than I remembered on my first viewing. So definitely the safe play was not a bad idea, because I mean, if the New Mexico actually decides I'm gonna go for that dude, then that could wreck your day. Absolutely, it could. But I think with the assets you had on the field, there was no way that this guy won. And I mean, even now we're looking at the Anchorage is fine, the New Mexico is fine. I mean, outside of spending his time killing the DD, he really didn't do anything. So this was handled. This was a free kill. You just run up the 10 line, you pin him against the wall, and you murder him. Then it comes down to how do you turn, how do you avoid the attacks? There were 2 or 3 instances where you overturned with the rudder. I really liked the bomb jukes here. I think that worked really well. Yeah, you got lit on fire by one of the bombs, but I mean, is what it is. I don't like the half commit. That weird dance move, I don't think that paid off for you, and I think that was the most damage that he laid on you in any of the attacks. And then I absolutely disagree with the rocket play at the end. You force the CV to have to fly around, and you can. There's a common refrain. Planes go 150 knots, 160 knots, sure, but they have to do that in your long range aura. Well, that means they're not taking much damage because my long range aura sucks. And flak, I mean, flak doesn't matter. That is true. The long range aura is not there to kill the planes. It means that if they're outside 4 or 5 clicks from you, as fast as they're going, you can still turn roughly as fast. So if the planes are going off to the side, you could just turn. You could literally go in a loop and just go like, you are never going to get a good strike on me. Ever. You're just not. And the longer you sit here and wait, the more shells I put into your carrier, because my guns can swivel as quickly as I turn. What do you want to do with this? You force the CV to take a bad engagement over and over and over again. He did have bombs back up. After he gave up on the rocket planes, he definitely could have tried to bomb you, in which case you've got a good rudder. You could have forced bad drops just like you did over here. I think you would have been fine with that. But giving him that follow-up broadside, the amount of damage you took off of that sealed your fate. And it didn't have to happen, because you could have, 1, forced him to take longer between the shots, and 2, you could have mitigated the damage better from the shots. And 3, you definitely got pieces of them. You definitely chunked them, but I think if you were able to just kind of like, this is a CV, I'm going to handle it. I don't need to be concerned about this. You take your time, you line your shots, you get the damage, you kill the CV. Done. That's probably going to come with experience handling CVs, either driving them, in which case you know what angles they can and cannot do, or more experience fighting them and just being like, no, I know exactly what you can do and I know exactly how to deny it from you, so get wrecked. Because it would be different if, he had teammates taking shots at you, but he doesn't. So you're the one who gets to choose how you want to move and how you want to delay his engagement, force bad angles, etc. If he was behind the island, it'd be different, but he's not. He's open water. You just kill him. Anyway, so hopefully that was helpful.